When you hear the word manhood, what comes to mind?
A threshold of when a boy, a male, young male, understands and acknowledges the curse and privilege and responsibility of being a mature man. It's a combination of a self-acceptance of that ability, a self-assurance, and as well as a social acceptance that you've reached that point. And it's a kind of a balance, I suppose, between understanding your forceful strength and balanced with restraint, self-restraint, and gentleness. So a man, someone who's achieved manhood has some confidence in his ability to make things happen. Maybe even in his, like I said, force and aggression, but it's all tempered with love, gentleness, and self-restraint. That's what manhood means to me.
Curse, privilege, responsibility.
Yeah.
That's deep. At what point does a boy become a man?
Well, I'm not sure it can be brought down to a point. I think it's more of a process. And again, with me, it was an understanding in retrospect. Once I got to, the absolute responsibility of raising kids was, if you want to call it a point, that it was then that I realized that I had to do this all on my own. I was being tested, and the process of a man becoming, or a boy becoming a man, is that boys need to be tested, respected, and accepted.
Love that. Tested, respected, and accepted. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, when boys get to be teenagers, especially late teenagers, man, that the testosterone is just pumping through them, and they got all this aggression and all this desire to find their place. And whether they realize it or not, they are longing to be tested, to be put up against something, to be challenged, because that's what they need. They need the challenge to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I passed that challenge, and that comes in many forms. That maybe with primitive tribes, boys were given a spear, told to go kill a lion, or in the some of the other indigenous tribes around here, some boys were hung by their ribs with hooks for a day, and if you could endure that, that was your test. Then you were accepted. You've now crossed over that threshold. You're considered a man. And then that's the acceptance part. Then as time goes by and they prove themselves to be worthy, then they are respected. Now their peers and even their elders would go to them for not wisdom, but maybe just learning to go off it, to give them something to contribute. In our society, that's not done like that. Okay. So boys are struggling to find out how can I be tested? And the unhealthy side of that is when boys commit crimes, or join gangs because they're longing to be tested and respected by their peers. And that's an unhealthy aspect of it. So yeah, I think we as a society need to understand that boys need to be tested. That's what combat is all about. That's what sports are about. It's overcoming that in a healthy manner.
That sits well with me. I understand that. And I think that is what society is missing. What do you suggest society on a whole should do in order to get boys through that process of being tested, accepted, and respected to prevent them from going on that negative spiral?
In a word, just understanding, acknowledging and understanding that this is the course of manhood. Um, there's a lot of negative sound bites like toxic masculinity and, you know, girls and boys are the same and they can change and they, both of them have the same path in life. They do not. You're fooling yourself if you think that. Letting boys be boys, going through this process of letting their masculinity be expressed, letting their aggressiveness be expressed within a healthy environment.
Yeah.
And accepting that. If we can accept that as a society, then we will simply be much healthier. And obviously the same goes for girls, right? They have their own path. But as far as boys, we need to stop. We need to stop gentling boys before they've had that experience of being tested. Once a boy is tested and has the respect and the acceptability, then they can go back and feel they can explore. We can explore our vulnerabilities. We can explore emotions because we're secure now, right? Once you have that security, then we can recite poetry and do all these softer things because we know. So as a society, let the boys be tested and respected as a boy without repressing it. Because when you repress that masculinity, that's when it comes out in an unhealthy manner. That's, like I said, when boys become bullies, when boys join gangs or whatever. That's the unhealthy response to a masculinity being repressed. Let them explore it, give them places to explore it, and applaud it. Applaud a healthy expression of young masculinity. Give them parameters so that they know what's healthy. But don't overprotect, don't over gentrify their masculinity before they have security within it.
That's good. Where does vulnerability fit in that concept of masculinity? And I'm speaking about boys and men.
Early on, vulnerability is seen as weakness. We are all built. God made us all with emotions.
Yeah.
Emotions make us vulnerable. And to pretend that we're not isn't tough. It's stupid. It's denying reality, which is just stupidity. Men, boys, we are vulnerable. Our egos are fragile. All it takes is a disgusted look from a woman, and our ego is just broken down to nothing, right?
All the way down.
Down. Have a woman laugh at us. Oh man, now we're sunk. So we need to understand our vulnerability. We need to understand that we are emotional creatures. What we need, and this is part of the testing process, is we need to not be led around by our vulnerabilities. We need to not be led into weakness by our emotions. We don't want to be, flighty, just to be blown around by the wind. That's the point of strength, is to maybe when emotions want us to go cry in the corner and suck our thumbs, no, we're gonna make this happen anyways. So the other side of of strength is vulnerability, understanding it's there, just not letting vulnerability dictate our lives. And that is strength.